In the final days of the year 2000, Shannon O'Donnell, an ancestor of Captain Janeway, finds herself stranded in the small town of Portage Creek, Indiana. There, she meets Henry Janeway, a lone holdout who refuses to sell his bookstore to make way for the Millennium Gate.
So, you're trying to get them to stop building this Millennium, whatever it is?
The Millennium Gate, the world's first self-sustaining civic environment.
That's what the propaganda calls it. It's nothing but hype. It's actually a glorified shopping mall. They've talked all of my neighbors into selling their businesses. Only one thing stands in their way.
You're the last holdout?
This time, Rome withstands the barbarians.
In the 24th century, Captain Janeway researches her ancestor when it comes to light that not everything she has heard about her intrepid forebearer is true.
Well, I know all the Mars projects from the 1970s on. Unmanned, manned, who's who. There were no O'Donnells in any of them.
The most non-Star Trek Star Trek episode of all. A quiet, contemplative piece, 1159 features no mysterious anomalies, space aliens, explosions, or science fiction dilemmas. Rather, the episode focuses on the idea of the muddying of our understanding of the past. Captain Janeway is disheartened to learn that nearly everything her Aunt Martha told her about Shannon O'Donnell, her great-great-great-great-grandmother, is inaccurate. While the episode is not your typical Star Trek fare, I found it engaging for the most part. The 21st century story is interesting, if a little trite at times. I found myself empathizing with the perspectives of both O'Donnell and Henry Janeway, and the concept of progress versus holding on to the past is a timeless one. If anything mars this part of the story, it's the fact that the chemistry between the two characters sometimes falls a little flat. This makes the 11th hour turnaround for both characters feel a little insincere. I'm not sure that I buy O'Donnell's feelings for Janeway, but I'm willing to suspend disbelief for the sake of the ending.
It's been a long time. But I'm starting to feel like maybe I found a place where I'd like to stick around for a while. With you and Jason.
And we'd like to have you.
But I can't work in a bookstore for the rest of my life. I've been given a second chance, Henry, and I can't lose that. I'm stuck in the future. You're stuck in the past, but maybe we could get unstuck in the present.
I don't see how, without sacrificing my...
You know, Mr. Moss offered me a job in Canton, even though I failed to keep up my end of the bargain. I guess he felt sorry for me. But I'm prepared to turn him down. If you want me to stay with you.
I suppose I could reopen my shop in that monstrosity you want to build.
The 24th century portions of the story are a nice diversion from the constant threat of destruction that Voyager usually faces on a weekly basis. This is one of the few times that the Voyager as family theme really comes across well. The scene with the senior staff trading stories about their ancestors was a fun one, and I actually felt the closeness of this crew, which seems rare.
Join you?
Please.
I too come from a distinguished line.
His cousin's an electric shaver.
Hardly. My program was compiled from the most advanced hollow matrices in the Federation. My cousin was a prize-winning chess program.
The theme of the past not living up to our expectations is a good one, and an important lesson here. We have a tendency to idolize our heroes, but it is critical to remember that they are just people like you and me. Watching Janeway come to this realization shows that we can find inspiration from just people. They don't have to be superheroes. And that lesson is reassuring to me.
But she certainly never changed history.
Don't be too hard on her. She may not have known she was supposed to live up to your expectations.
No, I'll get over it. The question is, when we get back to Earth, how will I break the news to Aunt Martha?
The sense of camaraderie among the crew is nice to see. As I mentioned earlier, we don't often get it feeling this natural. No gimmicks, just a pleasant episode with a lot of heart. While the ending may have fallen a little flat, the good intentions certainly are there.
What can you tell me about the Great Wall of China?
Pardon?
The Great Wall of China, on Earth. How big is it?
I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
2,400 kilometers long, medium width, 3.8 meters. Before the 22nd century, it was one of the only man-made objects that could be seen from Earth's orbit with the naked eye.
Actually, many man-made objects are visible from orbit, and the Great Wall of China is not usually one of them.
It was around 2210. My Uncle Jack was on a deep space mission to Beta Capricus.
That's when deep space meant the next star over.
And that was when they still had to go into stasis.
Harry Kim's ancestor piloting a sleeper ship in the early 23rd century, decades after the series Star Trek Enterprise. I think those guys missed the fact that warp drive exists. While some of the emotional parts of the episode may have fallen a little flat, I did like this story. It's a nice, quiet, contemplative piece that features an interesting part of history that we don't know a lot about in Star Trek. I would have to give this one a solid 3 out of 5 stars. According to the Goodreads scale, I liked it.
Speaking of the modern age, do you have any plans for the Millennium Eve?
No different than last year's Millennium Eve. I plan to be asleep.
Life of the party?
Oh, don't tell me you bought into all that hype again.
Maybe just a little.
Last year, when 2000 arrived, everyone was convinced it was the dawn of a new era. But when the world didn't end and the flying saucers didn't land and the Y2K bug didn't turn on a single light bulb, you'd think everybody would have realized it was a number on a calendar.